here at Nerds United, and I'm Ashley.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Nathan, and this is our guest, Joe. He was in the last video, and we have him again for this one.
Today we're going to talk about do's and don'ts for the GM side of things. We're going to talk about things like the GM not doing certain things, or things that a GM can do to help improve the story for players.
Ashley here doesn't really have any experience with DMing, but we kind of want to get her opinion from the player side of things, too.
Right. I'm probably the newest one here to DMing. I've only run...
Is it just the one?
I ran Dark Heresy for one session 2 times.
That's true.
Yeah, so we got pure unpolluted player there. None of the back dark side GM stuff in there. He's only a little bit, so he's only kind of polluted. And me and Nathan, we're pretty bad. We're pretty far down.
Like I'd say I'm experienced and he's better.
Yeah, well, I'm older, so
yeah, you've had more time.
Yeah.
Biggest thing that DMs will say all the time, or GMs, whatever game you're playing, is that players suck.
Oh my God.
They're gonna derail your plot. They're gonna derail your plot line.
Well, see, for me, I agree. Players do suck. I mean, it's like when you take little kids to Valley Fair or a carnival or something. I mean, you have this thing planned, but in the end, they suck, and they're gonna do their own thing's gonna happen.
To comment on that, it's like taking kids to Valley Fair and then giving them magic.
Right.
Yeah, one of the big don'ts that I have for gaming is, and I had to do this today and I felt really bad about it, don't force your players into something. So yeah, you want to try to guide them, not force them. Today I had to force somebody into it because they just refused every hook to get them into the adventure.
Yeah, more incentivizing them than just forcing them. But
I mean,
it's kind of like a gentle nudge.
Yeah. I mean, in this, I offered them money. I offered them magic items. I even offered them a mount, and they were just like, "Nope, I'm gonna ignore it."
Yeah, well, sometimes players are just being dicks. I mean, if you give them solid in-character reasons to do something they should do, I mean, they should be
like afterwards. He said he was.
Yeah.
Sorry, rant over.
Well, it's fine. I mean, it's good points. As a DM, you don't want to force your players to do things, but sometimes you have to. But avoid it.
Sometimes you have to.
Avoid it if you can. Guiding is better than railroading.
And I feel like if they're being that big of a dick, just smite them.
Just smite. Janice, man.
Yeah, well, I always hear people, they like to use that term "rock stall, everybody dies," but usually if a player's if players are being that combative, like in game, usually it's more of an out of game problem, and I usually don't do that in game. Like if they're just being that disruptive, I'm just like I'm done playing, or I'm done GMing.
We're just done for today.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Or they're done, or I just tell them, it's like, hey, come on now.
One point that I want to talk about as far as something a GM shouldn't do, and this is mostly towards male GMs to female players, or female GMs to male players.
I know where you're going.
Don't sexualize your players. If they want to do it to themselves, they're going to. But don't force them into that role.
Yeah, I find that happens a lot.
That does, and it's like I've never had it happen to me, but I've seen it a lot. Yeah, it's kind of disturbing.
Yeah, it's like
it's actually not kind of. It can get really.
It's
disturbing.
like they have these weird, deep-seated fantasies, and they want to play them out. And
well, and 9 out of 10 times your players are going to probably play them out at some point anyway. If they're as dark and twisted as we are sometimes.
Yes, they will.
A good.
Or
hey,
the other thing is if it's one player and the rest of the group's not comfortable with it, a really easy way to get around that is just fade to black next morning.
Right. No, see, I understand romance and that sort of stuff. That's completely acceptable. That's a genre and characters with real feelings and stuff.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
happens.
It happens in real life.
But I've played with a GM that wanted to do this play-by-play description of of the night, and I'm like, is that really important about
No, see, I like what Jordan did with his chick character and one of our other characters. He's just like, yeah, we banged, that's cool, and that was it, and that's how it
right.
went.
Move on.
Roll to see how well you did.
Roll endurance.
Roll endurance.
And my point is if you're gonna be a DM, like, don't be an outright dick to your players.
Don't punish them for every little thing.
And
we all know
don't-
someone like that.
Oh, we do. And don't throw them against like something that's almost impossible without a reason. Like Nathan had a reason for us in our group because we ran in every battle like we were gods and we weren't, and he explained the reason.
Long story short, bunch of new people to the game. Needed to teach them that they can't handle everything. Sometimes they need to
Actually, I
retreat.
think I was the only new person to be.
Okay.
I was gone.
Yeah.
New person to the game.
No, that happens. That almost happened a couple weeks ago in Warhammer when you guys went into the
Yeah.
camp.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
But long.
That really happened? Like,
Yeah,
It was pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was fine, but.
long story short,
But long story short.
don't just be a dick to be a dick. Have a good reason.
And I like I said, I did party wipe, but I planned it plot wise.
Right.
If I knew it was going to be a party wipe, so I planned around.
Yeah, party wipes happen, but don't be malicious.
Yeah, don't try to party wipe unless it's like plot relevant.
Right, and you're trying to teach a lesson and stuff. That's my thing.
Yeah, I can agree with that
Don't be
entirely.
like, oh, well, you're going to be damaged every round because I want to be a dick.
Right.
It's not fair to your characters, and it's hard to roll the plot line.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, do you have any things that you want to talk about at all?
I think one of the biggest issues I find with DMs is they overplan. Like, you should plan, but don't overplan.
Yeah.
See, I myself, like, I always come up with a plan, and I have a lot of specific things in the plan, but I'll come up with, like, it depends on the genre, but if using D&D here, I'll come up with maybe a dungeon or two or a couple, and then different hooks to get them into the dungeon. Now, in the end, the same MacGuffin and same plot hook will be in any dungeon. It doesn't really matter, but it gives your players the ability to freedom to choose, so it doesn't feel like they're just, in a storybook,
Or being strung along with
Yeah.
sheep almost.
Well,
Yeah.
and one of the good ways around that is you plan the dungeon, but not where it is.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You plan the story, you plan the general idea, but you don't like say you're going here.
Right.
Again, that kind of goes back to the don't railroad.
Right.
Well, and yeah, the biggest thing, and from my perspective as the GM, you can't get upset when your players completely go off track.
You can't.
99% of DMing is improv.
Yeah. And they don't know your story. They don't know your plans.
Yeah. See, and the players don't know. So, like, I like to use this as an example. You start the game, your players are walking along the road, and they come up to a fork in the road. It goes left and goes right. Now, don't tell your players that they have to go right, because that's where the city is. They come up to it and they can choose whatever way they go, because they don't know your world. The city's on both ends. Just if they go left, that's where the city happens
Yeah,
to be.
essentially.
If they go right, well, the city's on the right side.
And we
now.
don't know what
Yeah.
monsters you're gonna play and all that other stuff. So like, if you could just make it up as
Exactly.
you go.
The world can change dependent upon the needs.
Yeah.
Well, and like a lot of roleplay books do say, in the end, the GM is God, so to speak.
Well, the GM controls gods usually, actually.
Right. The world is the GM's creation. They can change it however they see fit, and players can argue it, but the GM's gonna be like,
There are two major rules for DMing. One, the DM has final say. Two, the game should be played to have fun.
right.
The biggest thing that I think for any GM, the goal of the game is fun.
It is. And you're not out to kill your players. A lot of people think you are. It's not the DM versus the players, it's the players versus the world. The DM just creates the world.
And if your players just happen to be stupid enough to get themselves killed, that's their own damn problem.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, if your players are like, oh, I'm going to jump in this volcano and fight the lava dragon, well,
Good luck with that.
I mean, in the end, the players get what they get.
And then I actually had a second point that I wanted to bring up, and this is more just something I've noticed helps a lot with GMing or DMing. Getting input from your players, asking them, how did you think tonight's session went? Is there anything you think would make it better, or did something you didn't like?
Critiquing,
Critiquing, especially for new GMs, because
Right.
it helps you improve. And I know for me, one of the things that I did right away since like game one, how did I do? Did you guys have fun?
Right?
What was something you could change?
exactly. What is there anything you would have done differently, or would have liked me to have done differently? And sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no. Sometimes they had a great time, Other times there were like this part dragged on, or I didn't feel like I was doing much, etc., etc. And it helps you grow.
I think it's unfair. The breakfast we paid $3 for should have had more bacon in it.
But also that could be part of the players too, though. If they didn't do much, like it could
That's a
have been
terrible
them
example.
too.
Don't get the bacon if it costs $3.
It's okay.
I apologize.
I'm amused. It's fine. Anywho, is that all the points everyone
I think
wanted
so.
to make?
I think that
Okay.
covers
Yeah,
at least a
that's
few
pretty
good.
major points.
If you guys want to see more of these do's and don'ts videos for role playing, let us know in the comments
Or
below.
let us know what you want us to discuss for do's and don'ts. Would be great. Rice is done.
Your rice is done.
Finally. I'm excited for rice. Anywho, just let us know in the comments below.
Well,
give
the
us
thing
a
is,
give us a thumbs up.
If you guys have questions as far as like DMing advice or anything like that, I mean, I don't know about these guys, but I know I'd be happy to help out.
And if you think of games you want to see us play, or at least have us review, let us know. And
We'd be game for that, yeah.
Yeah.
Social media sites will be below.
We'd be game for that.
Game on? Yeah.
okay, social media sites are going to be down below.
Check out Facebook.
Give a thumbs up.
Thumbs. We like thumbing.
Subscribe if you feel like it.
And subscribe.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.